These photographs taken by German soldiers show a direct visual record of Stalingrad as they saw it, a city reduced to ruins and a daily struggle for every meter of ground. For many German soldiers, the brutality of Stalingrad exceeded anything they had previously experienced, confronting them with relentless combat and constant danger. Their accounts and images reflect the overwhelming hardship of a battle where survival itself became a daily and uncertain challenge. The Battle of Stalingrad between the Red Army and the Wehrmacht stands as one of the fiercest and bloodiest confrontations in human history. Contemporary accounts describe it as a relentless struggle of street fighting and destruction, a battle in which the course of the Second World War was ultimately shaped. The most intense fighting unfolded in key areas of the city, including the central districts, the main railway station, Mamayev Kurgan, the grain elevator, and the major industrial zones, the Red October, Barricade, and tractor factory complexes. Here, combat was waged at close range for every building and every floor, reducing Stalingrad to ruins and transforming the city into a prolonged battlefield of urban and positional warfare. This photograph is known worldwide as one of the most iconic anti-war images. It shows a children's roundabout standing on the bombed railway square, with the shattered building of the main railway station in the background. The fight for Stalingrad's main railway station became one of the fiercest urban engagements of the entire battle. As a key strategic point, the station changed hands 13 times during intense street fighting, turning it into the scene of some of the most brutal struggles for every meter of ground. Taken during the battle, this photograph shows a Feldwebel and a Stabsfeldwebel of the Wehrmacht's 24th Panzer Division, armed with MP-40 submachine guns, fighting from an aerial bomb crater on Vokselnaya Street in Stalingrad, near railway station. In this image, a German 50mm Pak-38 anti-tank gun crew positioned at a street intersection in Stalingrad. Guns of this type were also used to provide fire support for assault units. Another photograph captures German infantry before an attack on the outskirts of Stalingrad. The second soldier from the left is carrying a 50mm LE Grutcher W36 mortar on his shoulder. Mortars proved particularly effective during the street fighting. This mobile form of artillery made it possible to change position quickly and establish new firing points as the battle moved from one location to another. Another major advantage of mortars was the survivability of their crews. Mortars could be placed in covered positions, out of direct enemy fire. The rounds, especially from heavy mortars, produced a powerful destructive effect. When a shell penetrated through the roof or upper floors, it could explode deep inside the building, wiping out the defending garrison or destroying fortified positions, such as machine gun nests or sniper posts. This photograph shows German soldiers taking up positions during the fighting in the Red October factory zone in Stalingrad. The factory complexes in Stalingrad had effectively been turned into defensive strongpoints. The destruction of the city significantly restricted the mobility of German armored units, as tanks were unable to operate effectively among the rubble and collapsed buildings. As a result, tactics that had previously proven successful were far less effective in the urban ruins, where attacks could be launched from cellars, upper floors, and concealed positions. The next image presents a German MG-34 machine gun position inside one of the houses in Stalingrad. German soldiers referred to the street fighting as a rat war, Rattenkrieg, because of the constant ambushes and close-quarters combat. In many cases, it was difficult to determine who actually controlled a particular building. There were situations where both Soviet and German troops occupied the same structure. Germans might be hiding in a basement filled with rubble and twisted metal, Soviet soldiers on the floor above them, and another Wehrmacht unit concealed in the attic, unable either to withdraw or to dislodge the enemy below. Here we see a German Unteroffizier, non-commissioned officer with a captured Soviet PPSH submachine gun taking cover behind a pile of metal parts in a factory yard. The Soviet PPSH-41, when captured, was widely used by German troops because of its high-capacity drum magazine, reliability, and ease of use. In the following image, a German flamethrower operator is seen in combat with a Flammenwerfer 35. During the street fighting, it became clear that flamethrower units were highly effective in urban combat. This weapon made it possible to capture well-defended positions and destroy firing points, for example in basements where it was too dangerous to enter directly. Soldiers armed with flamethrowers needed considerable stamina and skill because the equipment weighed several dozen kilograms and the fuel tank made the operator highly visible. For this reason, flamethrower troops were often treated as priority targets by enemy fire and snipers, and there was always a serious risk of the fuel igniting. Here we see Hauptmann Friedrich Konrad Winkler, Center, issuing orders to the officers of his battalion from the 577th Infantry Regiment of the Wehrmacht's 305th Infantry Division in the area of the Barricadi factory in Stalingrad. On Winkler's chest, his infantry assault badge can be seen broken. In February 1943, Hauptmann Winkler was taken prisoner and soon afterwards died in a prisoner of war camp in Beketovka. For German forces, the grain elevator in Stalingrad was a key landmark on the southern edge of the city. As the tallest structure in the area, it dominated the surrounding terrain and offered an ideal observation point. On the 14th of September 1942, Wehrmacht units reached the area intending to secure this dominant position and support further advances toward the Volga. However, the fighting for the building soon turned into a prolonged and extremely difficult engagement. German attempts to storm the elevator were supported by 88mm and 105mm artillery, yet the thick concrete silos withstood repeated direct hits. Even after heavy bombardment, resistance from inside continued. Fighting took place in smoke and rubble, and every attempt to approach the complex met defensive fire. The stubborn defense of the elevator left a strong impression on German troops. Its silhouette was even included in the design of an honorary badge planned for participants in the Stalingrad fighting. But the prolonged urban combat and mounting losses soon made such symbolic initiatives secondary to the struggle simply to hold ground and survive. This scene was captured showing German soldiers beside a Stu-G3 assault gun during the fighting on the grounds of the Barricadi factory. The Barricadi factory became one of the main objectives of the German offensive on the 14th of October 1942. More than 1,000 aircraft supported an assault on a 3-kilometer sector of the front, with hundreds of tanks and assault guns thrown into the fight. The battle turned into intense street-to-street combat. Many tanks were destroyed in the rubble, but German forces still fought their way to the Volga River and occupied part of the riverbank. In the following days, both sides suffered heavy losses in constant attacks and counterattacks. The Soviets then forced the battle into close-quarters fighting, where artillery and air power were difficult to use. By this stage, German formations in Stalingrad had lost up to 40% of their personnel. Through the eyes of German soldiers, the street fighting in Stalingrad was a maze of ruins, ambushes, and constant close-quarters combat. Tanks were trapped in rubble. Front lines disappeared inside shattered buildings, and every doorway could mean death. Their letters and photographs speak of fear, exhaustion, and the growing realization that there would be no way out. For many, Stalingrad ended in captivity, hunger, bitter cold, and for thousands, it became their final resting place. Behind these stories lies a greater truth. The battle cost hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides and left a ruined city as a lasting reminder of the human price of war. In the next video, we'll continue this and other stories through rare images and first-hand accounts. If you'd like to follow the series and not miss future videos, consider subscribing to the channel. History deserves to be remembered and told carefully.